If you're running a high-ticket coaching or consulting business where you run group sessions with clients, there is a 98% chance that your group calls absolutely suck. And it shows up when people aren't engaged, when they stop showing up, when they seem excited at the beginning, but then end up drifting off. And so then you're left with clients who get less results, who are less happy, which means that they end up paying you less, upselling less, renewing less. And that is a big-ass revenue leak because let's be real, 50% or so of revenue in businesses comes from the back end. So if you're running group coaching sessions that are basically just Q&A or you yapping for 60 minutes or some combination of the two, there is nothing worse that you can genuinely do for your business. If you're new here, my name is Christian Jack. I'm a psychology and human behavior expert. And after I applied all this stuff to business, I generated over $107 million over the past 4 years for myself and my clients. And the reason I was able to have that level of success is because I mastered human psychology and human behavior at a very deep level. And so what I do now is I teach people and I coach people on how to learn and implement the same principles so they can leverage it in whatever areas of life and business they'd like, from marketing to sales to relationships, leadership, public speaking. And in my company, The Game of Influence, I have absolutely cracked the code on engagement as well as renewals using ethical but deeply psychological influence principles. We have had a 95 to 100% show up rate on every single group coaching call we've run for the last 4 months. And on top of that, we have a renewal rate of 80% on a $1,000 a month subscription, which is unheard of, which a lot of mentors have told me not to do. And what's really interesting is while we have incredible content, this has nothing to do with the content inside the program. Yes, it's phenomenal, but it is mainly because I use ethical but deeply psychological influence principles to engineer the experience in every single session. Psychological influence principles that most business owners have no idea even exist. And in this video, I'm going to break down exactly step by step how to run a group coaching session that does not suck, built on human psychology at a deep level to keep people showing up, paying attention, and actually renewing month after month so that you can skyrocket your LTV, your clients get better results, and they start referring you business like crazy because of it. So let's get into it. This is going to be how we run sessions moving forward, which is a fun little inception moment because you get to see behind the curtain of how we're going to run the sessions, but also why we do things in a certain way. So one of the problems I've noticed in being part of a bunch of group kind of coaching programs, if you will, is people don't run group sessions very well. If you've ever experienced this yourself, whether it be boredom on a call, whether it be like you hop on the first couple, but then you're not really excited to hop on any after that, so you just kind of like fall off. People don't really do this very well. I just decided that it was a fun thing to build that's probably helpful for other people, but then would also be helpful for us inside of this. So I want to walk you guys through what I built, what the steps are in it so that you can understand, and you're going to learn a thing or two in the process. It will probably shift some perspectives that you have, and you might be able to take one or two little tactics that you want onto your next sales call very, very easily. The first thing is I'm going to take us through kind of time blocks, if you will. So if we say hypothetically, we're going to start doing this 2-hour weekly session where everybody comes in and we work through some things. There's a couple of key things that I want to happen on sessions, but block number one is probably the most important. So this is time block number one. It's the first 15 minutes or so of every session. What we're going to do is we're not going to do any sort of housekeeping. We're not going to share wins. We're not going to be asking, how are you doing today? What's new in your world? That sort of thing. We're going to play a game. And this is something that I do pretty much every time that I run a guest session or I speak from stage, is I will literally play a game with everybody in the room. Why might we play a game first? Who can tell me? There's a bunch of reasons.
Games are fun and they get us engaged. Brain engaged.
Good. Yeah. When you get engaged, what is that?
It's changing your state.
Yes. What is a technique that we've already discussed in phase one?
Compliance.
Bingo. Compliance wedge, right? It's an easy way to start getting people to be compliant because in a game, there's rules. You have to explain the rules. People have to do what you tell them to do at the time that you tell them to do it. There's a lot of stuff that goes in there. A more advanced tactic you'll get into later, which is regression, going back to a childlike state, more suggestibility, less risk averse, more willing to take risks and like just go big, do something out of the ordinary, deviance as well. There's a lot of stuff that goes there. So we're going to start every coaching session with a game. And the game is going to be somewhat influence related, somewhat seemingly not as well. For example, I'll show like a landing page or an Instagram profile or a screenshot of a prospect on a sales call, show it to you for 3 seconds and then hide it. Who is this person? What do they care about? What do they not care about? If it's a landing page, what is it that they offer? What is it that they do? How much do you feel like they probably charge? That sort of stuff. And see what you took away from it. Because that's what a prospect does, right? Unconsciously, they land on the page and they're like, do I trust this or not? How much is this going to cost? Is this like a high quality brand? Is this a low quality brand? Is this bespoke or is this group? We tested this with you guys without you knowing it. And Cameron brought up all these YouTube videos and we just profiled people, right? We saw what their needs were. We saw what they were projecting. We saw how they wanted to be seen by other people. So we're going to play some kind of game for the first 15 minutes and you're probably already seeing why. After that then is when we get into some wins, okay? Why might we decide to do wins after the game?
The ice has been broken. The people's guards down. Everybody's having fun.
Exactly.
People are more. You're not having to call people like, "Hey, how about you? How about you?"
Yeah. What does sharing wins do? What's the point? Have you ever wondered?
Well, it creates dopamine spikes, maybe.
Yeah.
People
Get
engaged.
them focused on like good stuff.
Get people feeling good.
Yeah. Good. What else?
Yeah, I think it's like a form of being grateful and the neurological shit that happens when people are grateful. It's like, oh,
very good.
Now they're looking for wins and
yes,
yeah,
exactly. Maybe somebody comes in and they've just had like the shittiest day, and you call on them for a win. They're like, I don't fucking have one. It's like, well, yeah, you do. And then they're forced to think of, okay, what was a win? Like, I lost these deals. Nothing went well. I mean, I guess I'm here. I'm here another day. Changes neurochemically what's going on in their brain. Why else? Think about it for a second. How many of you have sales huddles where you share wins? Think about it from your manager's perspective for a second. Like, why would they tell you to share wins on your sales huddle?
Keep people motivated.
Ooh, we got 3 at once. We go Jeremiah first, then Jagos, then Brody.
I was just saying to keep people motivated.
Yeah? How does it keep people motivated, though?
I mean, if your team members are winning, then it gets you, to me, it puts me in the state of mind of like, oh, I can win too. I just need to keep doing what I'm doing, or I just need to make maybe a couple changes and I'll be right there.
Good.
In the win with everybody else.
Very good. Very good. Dragos?
Start the meeting on a high positive note.
Very good. Yeah. And Brody?
It creates momentum. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Creates momentum. Forward momentum. Positive momentum.
100%. Al, I see what you put in the chat. You're right. If the clients are winning, perhaps you'll have conviction in the offer. Yeah, exactly. There's so many good things that come from sharing wins. But more than anything, I'd say I think of it as 2 main different angles. Number one is it kind of pulls you out of whatever is happening that day that might be bad and into a more I choose what I focused on state, if that makes sense. It can be really easy to just get caught up in the day-to-day and all the things that are happening to you in your world around you. Remember for a moment that you get to choose what you focus on. You get to choose your perspective. It's a big state change and focus change, but then also number 2 is it frames what is about to come. Like what is about to come next is now framed by what happened previously. And what happened previously is people are winning, achieving great results. There's things to be grateful for. So how might your perspective on what is about to be shared change based on that? Maybe your manager has to deliver some bad news, like we're behind targets. You now look at it with a more positive light, probably a little less dejected by it, a little more hopeful. Or maybe they give you some stuff to do. You're going to do an exercise. It's now framed by you looking at how what you've been doing as a team is helping people win and helping people grow. So you're more likely to actually follow through and do more of it. So wins, that's why we do it in the first place. The way we're going to structure things, we're going to do it after the game at the beginning. All right. Next, block number 3 is where we introduce the topic. And specifically, I called this the setup or the tension. And so this is where we introduce a topic, but in a way where, like Stephen earlier pointed out, you could see all the open loops. It's like, building curiosity, building expectancy. What's he going to say? What's going on? Just getting people to lean in. But then also what this does is it frames things in a way that gets everybody on the same page. When we talk about the problems that we see in life, which is often how you set things up in a good way and create open loops, a lot of people experience the same problems. Remember earlier in the call where I was like, put a 1 in the chat if you've ever felt trapped in a job. Put a 2 in the chat if you've ever felt trapped in sales, right? Not only am I framing what's about to come, but I'm also creating the sense of community and relatability on how like we all experience this. There's nobody that feels left out by that, which is incredibly helpful. So that's block number 3. Block number 4 is then when we actually get into the education. All right, so this will typically last like 30 minutes, where there's just straight teaching on a topic, on a tactic, on a perspective shift, whatever it may be. That's pretty basic. Obviously, there's some things that happen within that. I won't necessarily go through it today, but after that block is then the practice block. So this is block number 5, where we actually practice the thing. Gone are the days of hopping on a coaching call and listening to somebody like this dumbass yap for 50 minutes now, where there's not much practicing. And there's going to be actual live practice on the call. So this is guided practice with Cameron and I and each other present, where we practice something that we just learned in a controlled environment. We get a couple basic reps in. And then, now that you practiced a little bit, do you think you're more or less likely, give me a thumbs up or thumbs down, for more or less likely to go and implement it if you've already practiced it? More likely to, right? Because you feel good about it. You tried it. You got proof that it works. And so then when you go on to your next sales call, probably going to be a lot easier to use it. When you go into your next leadership conversation, probably going to be a lot easier to use it. You've already got the first couple reps in. And we've done it immediately after the coaching, which means that the reps are going to be the most accurate that they ever are. And you get actual guided feedback on how you're doing it, rather than going and using it on a sales call and seeing that it didn't work. And then you're like, why didn't it work? And having to post about it, be vulnerable about it for a second. With that, threaten your sense of identity of being a competent person, waiting for me to reply, and then getting the feedback and going. So we're just taking all of that feedback loop and shrinking it right down, and also making it easier to do. After that, we'll have the Q&A. So this is just 10 minutes of Q&A after we do the practice. Inevitably, there's questions that come up. After the Q&A is the last bit, which is just the closing, which is I will tactically open a new loop for next week's session on what we're going to talk about to make sure you want to join next week and you don't just forget about it. Probably do a little bit of post-hypnotic suggestions. Give you a challenge for the week. Now that we learned this thing, we practiced it, give you a challenge for the week, see how you can use it. Run some sort of incentive for the challenge. So there's a prize for those who actually go and practice and use it and implement. Lastly, close with something that is important, like the vision or like the mission statement, something like that. That's the whole session. That is what I've essentially come up with as the ideal way to run a group coaching session. And what'll be really cool about this is you all get to experience it first before anybody else. Who knows what we want to do with that? I don't know. We'll see. There's a lot of people that run group coaching sessions that suck. Anyway, we'll just use it for ourselves for now because get fucked everyone else. But that's the gist. Now, if after this video you finally decided it's probably a good idea to learn and implement human psychology and behavior so that you can master every aspect of your success, whether that's your marketing, your sales, your speaking, your leadership, your relationships, then join my free school community. It's linked in the description below, The Game of Influence. I have personally invested a bit over $1.2 million into my own education on these topics, and I am genuinely sharing everything that I have learned inside of the community for free. Here's the reality. In a world where AI is literally replacing all the hard skills, the only thing that makes you truly irreplaceable are your soft skills, which is your ability to understand and influence other people's human thoughts and actions and behaviors. And the people who master it now will be the ones who dominate for the next decade. So if you don't want to get left behind, hit the link in the description and join the community. It's for free.